I have made fire.
Hey guys, so this is a video that I've wanted to do for a long time, and in my planning of it, I was thinking I was going to do this really big, robust comparison of canister stoves. However, today I want to just kind of answer the question that I get pretty often of what is the best stove for backpacking, and specifically regarding canister stoves. Now, I've done stove comparisons in the past and I've done a lot of stove reviews, but I want to address that question of what really is the best canister stove that you can buy for backpacking. For me, the question is answered really simply. It's whatever stove you decide to purchase for your backpacking system. Now, I know that that's pretty general and it doesn't really give an exact answer of, yeah, you should buy this stove or this stove. What I'm trying to say is there is the criteria of what are you buying the stove for, meaning what type of cooking or use in the backcountry are you going to use it for? How much money do you have to spend? And third, do you have an affiliation or a love for a specific brand? Now, I realize that there are so many different types of stoves out there. I've only got 4 brands shown here on the table, but there are dozens of others and literally hundreds of stoves that you could purchase. What I want to address is the fact that whatever stove you decide to purchase for yourself for your backpacking system is going to be a great stove. If it boils water, cooks the food that you are taking out to eat in the backcountry, then it's the best stove. But I want to talk about the differences between the 4 stoves that I have here on the table that I own, what I like about them, and why you might choose a stove like what I've got here, whether it's these exact stoves or different brands, for your backpacking system. So what I've got here is the Olicamp Ion Micro, really tiny, very, very small, lightweight stove. Then I've got a nice budget stove here, the E-Tech City stove, which is about $10 on Amazon. Then I've got the MSR Superfly, which is a fantastic, super reliable stove. And then I've got the GSI Pinnacle 4 Seasons stove. Are they going to all boil water? Yes. That is really the primary use of a backpacking stove. So I want to start with the Ion Micro from Olicamp. Now, there is a budget version of this stove on Amazon called the BRS stove. It's about $15. This Olicamp stove, however, will run you about $50. It's a fantastic titanium, super lightweight stove. One of my favorite stoves that I've ever purchased. Basically, this thing is going to run like a Bunsen burner. It does have a high Btu output. It'll burn really hot and it'll get really good boil times. You're going to get varying boil times depending on elevation more than anything. Here in Utah, you could be at 11,000 feet sleeping and cooking food at that elevation. So you're not going to get really good performance out of a stove because you're so high in elevation. But the Olicamp is one of my favorite stoves for just a quick boil to keep things nice and compact and lightweight and easy. That's what I love about it. So it's a really great option if you're looking to save weight, save space, and make things really easy on your trip. Now let's look at the E-Tech City, which is going to be a very budget-friendly stove. $10 on Amazon. It's hard to beat what this thing is capable of doing. This also, like the Olicamp, has a very small burner on it, which means that for boiling water, this is going to be kind of ideal. You may not put a fry pan on here and do cooking of like eggs and potatoes and things like that, although you could, but primarily boiling water and rehydrating food is what this stove is going to be really nice for. One of the great benefits of this only being $10 is you do have a piezo igniter on it. This thing will burn really hot. It's just a fantastic, really well-priced stove. I have heard of other people having issues with this particular stove spitting gas and not getting a proper seal, but you're spending $10. I don't know what else you would expect than a little bit less quality in something of this nature. But this thing is actually really cool, and you can get it from a lot of different brands, and it's been a reliable stove for me so far. Push those aside and let's talk about the MSR Superfly. This stove I got probably about 15 years ago. I've had it for a really long time. Super reliable, and it carries the quality that you would expect from MSR. Given that, one of my favorite things about this stove is how big the burner is. I mean, look at the size of that burner. It's enormous. I love that you can actually cook real meals on this thing. The reason I say that is when you've got a big burner like this, it allows you to be able to get a fry pan on there, spread the heat out, and still have a nice compact lightweight stove. Let's go ahead and light it. You'll notice that the flame is really wide. This thing will burn really, really hot, and you'll get incredibly fast boil times out of it. You do have a little bit of a simmer control on it, but overall, this is one of my favorite stoves I've ever purchased. And for the price, you're getting something that's gonna last you a really long time. So, big burner equals being able to cook better meals and boil water a little bit faster because you're getting higher output on your BTUs. Now let's look at the fourth stove that I have here on the table. This is the GSI Outdoors Pinnacle 4-Season Stove. What I love about this is the remote canister. So if you need a stove to work properly in the winter and you want to go the canister route, then going with a stove that has a remote canister is going to be your best option. The reason being is I can turn the canister upside down and allow for a liquid feed to the stove. I've talked about this in my review of this stove, which I will have up here. Now let's move these aside because I want to go ahead and light this up. So one of my absolute favorite things about this stove is the fact that I have a really, really fine adjustment here on the canister. I can get this super low for a really low simmer, or this thing will crank really, really hot. So 4-season stoves are great because you've got the ability for a little bit more versatility and function in your cooking. I can actually put a windscreen around this, which I would never do with any of these three, because if I do it on any of these three, I'm going to heat up the canister and I'm going to take the risk of blowing up the canister. With a 4-season stove where the canister is remote, I've got the ability to put a windscreen around the stove, make it more efficient, and make my cooking a little bit better with it. More efficiency means I'm using less fuel, making my life a lot easier. So 4-season stoves are really cool. Now that we've covered these 4 stoves, you've got to decide for yourself which of them makes the most sense for you. Whether it's one of these 4 or if it's any of the other dozens of stoves that are available out on the market. There are so many stoves. I'm going to have linked down in the description, links to stoves that I think are beneficial for you to look at and purchase. Because they're going to be good, reliable backpacking stoves. First thing to consider is how much money are you willing to spend? Second is what application or what type of cooking are you going to be doing? Are you only going to be boiling water? If so, I might steer away from something like this and go with a really small, light, compact stove like the Olicamp or the Etex City or the BRS or any other type of small stove like this, because I want something lightweight, compact, easy to use, and just boils water quickly. If I'm going to be doing more cooking using fry pans and stuff like that, then I want to get something with a bigger burner, wider base that I can actually put a fry pan and stuff on. So I know that that's not like the most in-depth look at what options are available and what makes stoves better than others. Really, as far as the technology of things and how it's come so far, whatever you buy is going to be really, really awesome. And I want to just reiterate that buy what excites you. That's the most important thing. So there you go. That's a really basic rundown and comparison of different canister stoves that are available. Please ask me any questions that you might have. Look down in the description for links to a bunch of different stoves that I think are awesome and that you might benefit from looking at. But I appreciate you guys watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I hope you have an awesome day.